Good evening, everyone. We're now ready to call our regular board meeting to Port Arthur, Section 4 Economic Development Corporation to order. May I have a roll call, please, Mr. Baptiste?
Yes, sir. Mr. Anderson,
Here.
Mr. Sherfus,
Here.
Christopher Smith,
Here.
Rashad Harris, Dallas Smith,
Here.
Roosevelt Petrie,
Here.
Rhonda Connors.
All
Ms.
right,
Connors.
now. Give me 1 second.
Ms. Connors,
Banner down.
can you hear us, Ms. Connors? I see a name.
You're good to go.
Okay, Ms. Connors, she's on, but I don't hear her. You have a quorum, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you so very much. Mr. Dallas Smith, will you give us the invocation, please?
Father God, we come this evening, first giving all honor, glory, and praise to you. Father God, we thank you for another opportunity to come before you in this board. We thank you, oh Father God, in advance for what you're going to do. We ask that everything be done decent and in order. We ask it all in the name of your son, Jesus. Amen.
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 And everyone has a copy or has received a copy of the minutes from our February meeting.
Yeah, I have it.
I need a motion to approve those.
I move to approve.
Second.
I've been moved by Mr. Sharif as a second by Mr. Dallas Smith that we approve our minutes from last meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now we'll move to our presentations. Mr. Baptiste.
Yes, Mr. Chairman and board members, I asked Mr. Rivers, CEO, president of CTEC, to come give you guys an update on what's going on at 549 Proctor Street. And I'm going to yield to Mr. Rivers. Nathan?
Thank you, Mr. Batiste. I appreciate the invitation to come and speak to the board. Thank you for having me. You guys have probably seen there's a little bit more activity going on the job site as of lately. Currently, we are progressing in the EOC suite. That section of the building is looking to be substantially complete in the next 45 to 60 days. Once we reach that substantial completion in that suite, the city should be able to move in their furniture and fixtures and get their equipment started. A couple of weeks after that, we're expecting Lamar Port Arthur to be able to start moving in their space with their kitchen equipment and any furniture and fixtures that they may have. From there, we're going to continue on the rebuild of the other half of the building over in Area A. That structural steel has been delivered to the project site. They finished drilling under reams Friday last week, so they'll get ready to start pouring the slab back in those areas, and then erect the steel and tie those the large walls that you've seen have been supported for the last few months. It'll pull those supports out and have the permanent structure in place there to tie the building all together. Currently, we're coordinating with a couple of the EDC's vendors, Panama Equipment, who's providing the generator. They're getting ready to mobilize on site to pour their concrete, build their structural steel platform, and then continue on with the installation of the generator. We're also coordinating with ISI on the kitchen equipment that the EDC is providing for Lamar Port Arthur. We're coordinating locations for rough-in and the timing of that equipment being delivered to the site. We've already got a few pieces there, things for the refrigeration units that are going to sit on the roof and the curbs. And we're also coordinating with DataVox, the EDC's IT, technology, and security company. We're working out their infrastructure needs in the building. so we can get those items put in before the walls close up. I'm happy to answer any questions you guys might have, but we've had a lot of good manpower as of lately. We had a few COVID issues last year with manpower. I think all the local vendors have figured out how they work with and around COVID to get their manpower up on the site the way it needs to be. We do have a few logistical issues with some of the manufacturers and suppliers and their COVID interruptions, but we see these things progressing and getting better, week by week.
Well, let me ask just a question. Nathan, what about, that front atrium area that you're going to pour the concrete in that's open right now with the supported walls?
Yes, sir.
When do you think that, what do you vision that would be kind of a closed in area? How long will that be?
So the slab will get started here in a couple of weeks. Structural steel will start being erected. That'll probably take us through the middle part of May. And then we've got to put the structural storefront in that corner area. So you're probably looking at that end of the building being dried in and looking finished probably towards June, end of June, early July.
Okay. Yeah, because that's the most obvious when you drive by there, and I go by there a couple of times a week because it's so wide open, and everything else looks kind of closed in. So that's going to be neat when that's closed in.
Yes, sir. Yeah, the architect's got a beautiful design for that end of the building.
Right.
So when is the timetable for the whole building to be completed?
As you guys know, y'all approved the phase 2, which is the finish out of the other end of the building. That's going to take us through the end of summer. So you're probably looking at staged move-ins, the OC and Lamar Port Arthur towards the beginning of summer this year, and then the rest of the finish out of the space towards the end of summer.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I would just like to say, Chairman and Commissioners, Nathan and both the general contractor at CTEX and the architect, we've developed a very close relationship. I think these guys are looking at everything that we're doing, and one of the things that we have all agreed to is quality is first, and but we're still looking at costs. So I certainly appreciate the effort that CTEC have put into this, him and his subcontractor, and I certainly appreciate them stepping up to the plate. We went through a lot of adversities, and I think you guys know we had a lot of setback on this building, but we're pretty close to the target date that we expect to be in that building. Thank you very much, Nathan.
Thank you, Mr. Batiste, and I'll echo that too. And I appreciate Mr. Batiste and his team and what they do to keep us moving, giving us answers and making decisions and providing the information we need to keep going. That's a significant part to the progress that's being made right now. And I'd also like to it's been a couple of months since I've addressed the board, and I'd like to tell them thank you again for choosing to hire local. I think the fact that you guys did that, especially in light of COVID and its impact, has helped a lot of local companies keep people employed. And I think you guys ought to be applauded for that decision. And thank you. We're grateful for it.
And thank you for taking the time to come and address us on today. We are excited about this building and what it's going to bring to our city, for our community, and for those business owners. So we thank you for the effort that you're putting into it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We thank you too.
There any other questions from any of the board members? Now's y'all time. Here's the guy you throw the stick at, Dennis. Thank you very much, Nathan.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Batiste.
All right. Moving on.
I got a question for Mr. Baptiste.
Yes, sir.
Did we go over budget on this building?
No, remember when we first went out to GMP, we had a white box. Okay. You got to remember the GMP is a guaranteed maximum price. That was phase one. You know, CTEX have to deliver phase one with the price that they said they were going to deliver it on. We had white boxes, portion of the building that was not completed. We went back, we had the architect, we had the draw out the rest of the building, and we have a phase two, and we have budgeted $1.6 million to finish that portion. That money has not been touched. It's just sitting there waiting for phase two because phase two have not started.
1.6.
We have, I will tell you guys, you know, I worked in this building here, but when I say this building, 501 Proctor, this 549 Proctor was a kid to it, man. 501 is just a kid. This is a big monster we're dealing with over here, guys. There was so many unknowns. I think we ran into 2 or 3 different tanks under the slab that, you know, after environmental assessment, we didn't know it was there because it was under the slab. And I think just as recent as last week, Nathan, we ran into another sand pit, but it was nothing environmental. So they are able to fill that up with good soil and have a solid foundation. It's just so many. We ran into some railroad tracks that we have to go in and deal with the historical society to try to get the railroad tracks up. You know, it was a lot of unknowns over there. And but again, you know, I want to commend Nathan and his team for the job they have done. And Mr. Smith, I tell you, it is it's tough dealing with this project with the, you know, I was telling George this week or last week, you know, when we originally got into this building, we went out and got an EDA grant, and we did not know all this was there. And once we got in it, we found out it was there, and we just had to deal with it, or give back the grant and just leave the building alone. But we was too far down the road. So this board gonna spend about a little over $4 million out of pocket, which includes in addition to what EDA is giving us. And that's because of the unknowns.
Okay, and what EDA gave us?
4.7 million.
4.7.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the total is going to be around 8.7 million for the.
It's going to be about 8.7, $8.9 million. Yes, sir. That's my estimate. If we don't see anything else, you know, and hope we don't. I don't know. You know, had we known all this from the beginning, we could have got more money from EDA, but it was a lot of unknowns.
Okay.
That help you out?
Yeah.
Thank you. But again, I want to thank CTEX for the work they have done. You know, they never gave up. And I guess, you know, I just appreciate what y'all have done. Been a tough job, been a tough project.
All right, moving on to communications, Mr. Baptiste.
Yes, sir. George, you want to deal with communication A?
Let me get off of here. Let me find the paperwork. Probably about maybe 2 weeks ago, 2 to 3 weeks ago, Miss Olivia, the wife of the owner of Robogistics, got in touch with us. And she basically was saying how they've been so pleased with the intern from last year that are now employees. So what she did was she basically wrote a letter that's going to be published in both newspapers, Port Arthur News and Beaumont Enterprise. And it's pretty much telling other businesses that this was a successful internship that we did with the students from the Kate building, and basically saying that she would suggest that'd be a good route for them to go as well. So that's pretty much what the communication from Robogistics is about. Just the owner's wife being pleased with the effort of the internships who are now employed.
George, we have 2 new board members, Mr. Harris and Mr. Petrie. Can you introduce?
I'll break it down. Yeah.
Can you introduce, tell them what Robogistics about, what they do?
Yes, sir. Robogistics, Mr. Baptiste had gone to Beaumont several years back to recruit this company. It split up, and I like to call Sal the brains of the operation. He took a lot of the key players with him who knew everything about the business. And what they do is they have these gantry robots that it's not like the robots that we're used to seeing on movies and television and stuff like that. But what it is it's kind of like a rectangular shape gantry that goes and pick up different products. Like, for example, they have a deal with Sherman-Williams. So if you have a pallet and you have mixed, if you have an assorted pallet, so to speak, and if you want maybe 10 cans of black paint, 5 red, 8 blue, with these robots, they go pick up all this paint and bring it back and put it on the pallet, way faster than a human being walking back and forth. So what we did was we partnered with the school district, and we got kids out of the Kate building who were welders, machinists, a couple of young ladies that are working, doing office work. One is, she put together the storehouse and assembled everything inside of there. All of those kids, I think we took 7 and put them over there, and they retained 5 of them because the other 2 actually were going off to college. And that was a huge success for us because we're taking a kid who basically went in there for 8 weeks and was going to do an internship. And they did so well that the company decided to offer them employment. So in the summer, when we talk about doing the YEP, the Youth Employment Program, what we do is get those kids from Memorial High School that just graduate and try to line them up in a business based off of what they were into at Memorial.
So I got a question. So they employed 2 students from the Cape?
5. They didn't hire the last 2 because those 2 went off to college, but all of the ones that remained here in Port Arthur were given a job.
Okay. You know what they're making?
I have no idea. Because matter of fact, she told us one of them the other day was about to get another raise. So I know we were doing, I think, like $13 an hour for the internship, but I don't know how much, they offered them as far as their employment.
Okay. Any other question? The second thing you guys have on your communication is the 2021 economic forecast breakfast. This thing is scheduled for March the 11th at the Beaumont Event Center. There's only going to be 700 in-person guests, and I think those areas, those 700 folks have already signed up. If you guys would like to partake in this thing, you could still go on virtual. It does cost you $10, but if you would like to, it's at 7:30 that morning. Let Joni know, and we can get you access to this thing. So again, this is going to be on the 11th, which is going to be next week. So if you could let Joni know something by the end of this week or the first part of next week, that certainly would help us out. I think the guest speakers here are going to be Dr. Perriman, renowned economist, and you're going to have the three county judges, Jefferson County, Hardin County, and Orange County judge also as guest speakers. So I think it should be a welcoming event for you guys to, if y'all want to hear about what's going on in Southeast Texas in the coming year. You certainly will get to learn a lot about what's happening here. So if you are interested, give Joni a call and she could, Joni, I guess you say hook them up, right?
Yes, sir. I'm going to send them an email in the morning reminding them and let them respond if they wish to go.
Okay. The next thing we have on the communication that we gave to you guys in the package is the sales tax workshop. And some of this stuff is virtual. Some of them I didn't read all this stuff, but I would suggest any one of you guys, if y'all been there, fine. If y'all haven't been there, fine. I think if you've been there, you need to maybe go again. And she gave you a list of those cities within Texas that the sales tax workshop will be presented September, November, and December. It's going to be in September in Garland and Richmond, Texas. November in Houston, and December going to be in Austin. She also gave you guys a schedule of the basic economic development class. And most of you guys who've been with us a while, I recommend that all you guys take basic economic development. And she gave you a list of where those classes will be. And you could choose anywhere you would like to go. The organization will pay all the expense that you have to incur. The thing I will say, economic development in New York City is no different than economic development in Port Arthur, Texas. So it doesn't make a difference where you go. It's still economic development. They just add that flavor to it, but you have an opportunity to understand what we do, why we do it, and just give you a holistic approach to what we really do, because there's a lot of things that we do, and most people do not know what we do. So again, take that list, look at the sales tax training, let Joni know, look at the basic education, basic economic development courses, let Joni know where you would like to go, and we'll make some arrangements for you guys. Any question on any of this? Now, some of this stuff is maybe virtual, some of them could be on site. And I think I think by the third and fourth quarter of this year, some of this stuff gonna open up more. But just let us know. Any question on that?
I have a question, sir.
Yes, sir.
Is this for all the members? I think I would be interested in both of these classes actually. It looked like it'd be pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's for any board members. Any board members, any board member. And I suggest, even if you've been to sales, especially the sales tax training, that's right here local in Texas, go back. Get a better understanding of how we could use the money, how you guys could use the money that y'all get, you know, because some people just think we could just use it any kind of way. No, there's some rules. And they certainly, the sales tax will certainly provide you the laws on how you as a board member, what y'all can make decision on as to how y'all can spend that money and not spend that money. And as I was saying, Mr. Petrie, the basic economic development is just give you a holistic approach to economic development because, you know, we do a lot of different things. That basic class is normally 3 to 4 days, and it covers about 10 different sections of economic. It covers reuse, it covers revitalization, it covers strategic planning, it covers technology, it covers marketing, it covers just a whole bunch of stuff. Retention and expansion. There's a lot of things that we do. Workforce development, it covers all that stuff, but it gives you a snapshot of all those stuff that we deal with every day and trying to get our job.
Is there any time frame that we need to get with her and let her know?
Well, if you look at the calendar, there's a date. Just select the date. You know, you can select it in the future. You know, she got some dates go all the way to December in here. You know, so where my advice to the board member, if you're gonna go, select the city you would like to visit. Yeah, because it gives you an opportunity to see that city and see how they use their economic development. And it allow you to bring back some of those thoughts back here.
Thank you, sir.
All right. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
All right. And just about those trainings as well. When we've gone in the past, if we could, board members have gone together at the same time, and it makes the trip a little more interesting, especially with the learning aspect for the different things that's going on, because we are able to sit and talk at those tables and relate those things back to what's going on in Port Arthur and come back with some really good ideas. And I know for sure I personally will be taking that sales tax whenever, probably somewhere around September. I'll take that one, and I may do the basic again as well, because I did enjoy that basic class when we went. Very, very, very informative. I'm waiting on that strategic planning to come back around, because that's the one that I want to take for sure one more time. They're all very good. So I just wanted to say that. So if anyone is planning on going, if we can go at the same time, or if you want to do something like that, I'm open for that, because I found that to be very beneficial when we attend those types of things at the same time. Just putting that out there.
I think that's a very good suggestion. You know, if you could take a one of your co-board members, which y'all could begin to see it together and begin to dialogue as to what y'all see, because as you guys heard me say earlier, economic development in San Francisco is no different than economic development in Port Arthur, Texas. We all do the same thing. In fact, those of us who have been in this business, I think Port Arthur, not speaking because of us, I think we are light years ahead of a lot of those other cities, because we do a lot more. Is that right, Crystal? Yes.
Yes.
We are far ahead of most communities in what we do here.
Right. Thank you so much, Mr. Batiste, for that. Now we're ready for, I'm sorry, did anyone have any other questions about the trainings or anything like that, any of the communications? Everyone's good? Okay, let's move to our reports. We'll have our workforce development report.
Yes, good evening. I'm going to start with the CDL program. Just a FYI, some students were removed from the CDL list due to a non-start, mainly COVID related, I will say, so that funds could actually go to others that were waiting to take either Class A or Class B. So far, this number changes daily. We have 25 students that are enrolled. We have 4 that have completed, and we have about 9 that are about to start. Actually, they started today, March 1st. For our Certified Nurses Assistant program, I spoke with Ms. Angel. The instructor has contacted all 8 students to inform them that they need to schedule exams and find a job. The instructor informed me that 2 out of the 8 need to schedule the clinical portion. They both have passed the written portion. The testing sites canceled some tests the week of February 15th through the 19th due to the ice storm that we all is a part of, Texas as a whole. The instructor also stated that it's getting kind of hard to ensure that the students are doing what they're supposed to do. The students do know that when they start the class, they do sign a contract. So they are responsible for the rest of the payment if anything is broken during that time. Our YEP and scholarship program, I will say I'm excited to let you guys know that we do have 1 submission so far that has been turned in. This particular student is a Port Arthur resident, attends Sabine Pass High School, and actually takes welding. Also on today, I actually had a scholarship application that was turned in, and so we're working through that as well. I have been in communication with counselors via email and phone. Once again, all communication and applications have been sent to all surrounding counselors at all the schools from Port Arthur all the way to Neyland, Fort Neches, because we do have students that actually may attend these schools, but they are Port Arthur residents. Also, if you know of anyone that is interested, I will say that everything is uploaded on our website at www.paedc.org. YEP applications are due on April 19th. We're shooting for 20 students. Of course, we're going to pay them $13 an hour as we did on last year. I have a breakdown. It kind of breaks down what we have available and what we plan on putting out. Students cannot work over 320 hours. Also for our scholarship applications, they are due on April 15th. All 2020 recipients currently on our scholarship, once again, they have returned. 2 will graduate this semester. And I actually spoke, Miss Claire Jackson with Motiva, just FYI, she was actually in our building on last week. And she and I actually had a conversation, and I'm going to be working with her. Hopefully we can get some students at Motiva this year. So she's just waiting for the okay to allow students to come on site. Also, with our scaffolding program, once again, approved. We actually have a workforce training agreement between EDC and Lamar State College Port Arthur for scaffolding. Where we're gonna train 10 Port Arthur residents and provide them with a stipend of $8.25 an hour. I have been in contact with Dr. Stafford at Lamar State College Port Arthur, and I will tell you that they actually are starting the program this month as well. I explained to him that once documents are executed on our end, the money will be available for the 10 Port Arthur residents that plan to start the scaffolding program. Also, our newsletter. I'm currently working with purchasing to secure an accurate bid list, and I did get that bid list. I will say that formal email will be generated to the respective companies. And when I receive that information back, I will come back to the board and let you guys know where we're going to go from there. I have started on the newsletter, and I will be sending out an email to my co-peers to get information regarding their respective sector within the EDC. Social media, our LinkedIn and Facebook, the last thing I did put on our social media outlets was the forecast breakfast, and we received a lot of hits. That way, a lot of people can go, those that are interested can go in and they can actually register and be a part of that. I'm going to go back to our scholarship. I will say, which is a good number, to date, since our scholarship program, since the inception of it, I will say that the Port Arthur Economic Development Corporation has actually put out $52,490 for continued education for Port Arthur residents, young kids that have actually graduated from high school. So I'm very proud of that number and happy that the EDC can actually put students through school. If you don't have any questions, that concludes my report.
Anyone have any questions for Renata? I have one question.
I have a question.
Oh, go ahead, Mr. P.
On the scholarship, do we have any matching funds?
As far as
Like the plants, I think you said we spent 58,000, but is there any matching funds from industry that would match what we put out?
that, I don't know as of right now. This money is strictly coming from the economic, from you guys, the EDC, from the EDC.
Okay, I would just wonder, because I know like at the universities, I have like some endowments, and if I give 100,000, it's matched by 100,000,
Right.
which would be 200,000. And I was just wondering if we ever looked into that,
No,
where there's funds, it may be an opportunity to do that, make the money go a little bit longer. Just
Most of the plants actually have their own scholarship that they bring to the schools, especially to the Korean Technical Center every year. Now, in thinking along those lines, though, that may be something to look at, because we may be able to squeeze a little more juice out of that grape, you know. But I do know that Motiva, Total, and Flint Hill, before they were acquired by Motiva, they all would come and present some form of scholarship opportunities. I believe it was 5 to 10 into the school every year. So I know some of them will have some things out there, but there may be a way to squeeze a little more. You just never know.
right, and I know like when you partnership with, for example, like Lamar, Port Arthur, they may have some to. So in some cases, I don't remember what they call it, but sometimes the colleges are not able to spend the money unless there's scholarships given. Like when I gave $250,000 to Texas Southern University, and they matched it by $250,000, but they couldn't even spend the money unless they had a donor donate the money. And there may be some opportunities there. Just something to look at. That's all.
Sir, I think
Thank
that's an excellent idea.
Thank you.
And we'll look into that.
Any other questions for Renata? Thank you so very much.
thank you.
All right. We'll now have our program compliance report.
Thank you, Chairman. Good evening, board members. Just to give you all a quick update on some of our projects. Gulfway Plaza the proposed resolution was submitted to City Council for closeout of their contract, as they have completed all of their requirements for their incentive agreement, and that was approved by City Council. J.Z. Russell Industries, they are one of our oldest contracts, beginning since 2012. They are out in our business park. They've submitted their last qualifying payroll that they can receive credit for their Port Arthur residents that they've hired. And we're currently reviewing their contract for closeout at this time. So that will come back to you guys at a later time. Industrial Scaffolding, they have submitted their 2020 payroll for their Port Arthur residents as per their incentive agreement. They are currently meeting their contractual obligations and exceeding their obligations. They have employed 300 Port Arthur residents alone in 2020. And while I have not been able to tally up the payroll, and I hope to give you all those numbers next meeting, they have let me know that they've reached $5.4 million in payroll just in 2020. Their obligation was to meet 1.3 million and 13,000 and some change, and so they've way and more exceeded their payroll. So we're very pleased with what they've been doing. They do have to maintain their payroll for one more year, and so we'll be getting payroll for 2021 soon, and hopefully we can close them out. So they have done well on theirs. Team Fabricators, we have a meeting planned for some of their managers to be introduced to the Memorial High School Career and Technology programs. The intent is to create a partnership for year-round internship opportunities for students. I know the CAPE program is looking constantly for employer partners to be able to put some of those kids at some of their locations. So Team Fabricators is very eager in working with the CAPE program. They're looking forward to going and visiting the programs and finding out what's available for them. So they want to do year-round internships with the CAPE program, and as well as they want to participate in Ms. Lee's youth employment program over the summer as well. So they're very eager to move forward with employment. Rustin Penland, this is he has a company who just recently purchased land out of the business park. He did purchase 1 acre. He's looking to expand that property. He has not seen it yet, but he would like to go ahead and purchase some additional acreage so he can go ahead and put a second building out there for their operation. And he's also considering the possibility of financing the purchase of that property through the EDC. So that's something that we're going to be discussing with him a little bit further, and we'll bring back to you guys at a later time. And that's all that I have for my report as of now. Do you have any questions?
I have one question, Crystal,
Okay.
as it relates to the meeting with us on Thursday at the high school.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to be at that meeting?
Yes, I'll be there.
Okay, just making sure that I didn't get a chance to communicate with you about that.
No, yes, I'll be there.
What, Crystal, have you set anything up with Standard Alloy? And
Standard Alloy, I think, is just going to be participating in the summer program for now. This is more, team is wanting to do year-round internships with Memorial. That's not necessarily through us. So they're wanting to see the programs and get to know what's available, because they can use some of those students year-round.
I think you want to visit the machine shop over there. So you may want to contact Mr. Martinez.
Okay.
Okay.
Will do.
The other thing I think Crystal brought out with industrial scaffolding, you know, we gave those guys $300,000. They had the obligation was to produce $1.3 million in payroll for Port Arthur folks. They exceeded that the first year, the second year, and they are projected. This year they came in with $5 million in payroll. We haven't verified it, but we have the check stub. I'm not the check stub, but what, Crystal, what you call this thing? The W-2. You know, so, and I think it was important for us to let you guys know that the return on the investment that you guys are getting for the money that y'all putting out. You know, so far y'all have put out $300,000, and you probably will get close to $8-9 million in return on investment, and that's for Port Arthur residents. You know, the same thing. We closed out another one. I was actually, what was the other one, Crystal? Vessel repair. Vessel repair. You know, we gave those guys a couple of $100,000, and they produced $7 and $8 million in return on that money to put on the rest payroll to our folks, you know. So it just it lets you know what you guys as a board is doing for this community. You guys are, I'm telling you, it's tremendous when you put all these numbers together, you know. And I just want to say thank y'all and for allowing us to get the job done and partnering with these businesses and seeing the results that he produces for the residents and the citizens of Port Arthur. That's my speech, Chair.
All right, anyone else had any questions or comments for Crystal? Thank you, Crystal.
Hey, you're welcome.
We'll now have our financial report.
Rachel is not here. Is Rachel not? I know she had to leave. She got family issues, and I'm not gonna. I'm gonna give you guys a quick review. I think she gave you. First thing I'm gonna tell you, she has been working very hard. You guys heard me talk about that 549. 549. Hold on. Yes, sir. Okay. Call George. You got George's number? Okay, I'll tell George. George, give Peter a call. He got dropped out. He can't get back in.
Okay.
Anyway, she has been very involved in the finance for this building. And I'm telling you, man, it's a booger, man. So I know today she worked very hard to try to get this out to you guys. And at the last moment, she got it to you guys. But I'm not going to go through all this stuff and do the fine job that as she has been doing. But your fund balance right now is about $7 million. $7,125,000. That's what you guys have in the bank right today. And the next sheet I'm going to show is where we are on our expenses today. We about remember our fiscal year starts October, November, December, January, February. We're in about the 6 month, just about half a year. We have spent approximately 42% of your money that for each one of those line items. We averaged that. We have played with this budget to meet some of the obligation that we have to meet on that 549 Proctor Street. And I want to say to the staff, I certainly appreciate these guys trying to live within this very, very tight budget that we have. I know Elijah come here and he say, I need a pump. And I say, well, go ask Rachel if we have some money. And Rachel said, you know, yes or no. But in the end, you know, they're doing a fine job trying to manage the department and the money that they have within the department. I just want to tell each one of these guys, thank you. Other than that, I think we're okay. It has been a tough financial year for us because of 549. But despite all of that, I think we will survive. If you guys have any question after reviewing this stuff, feel free to give me a call on this financial or Rachel. There's a lot of time being spent making sure that we get all these reports to EDA on the money that we're getting from them and the money that we're spending on the building and making sure that we are able to pay our bills. So I know I didn't do a good job as well as Rachel, but I tried to do the best I could. Any questions? It's been a tough year, guys.
I got a question about payroll.
Which one?
For payroll. Is payroll on here?
Yes, sir.
How you budget for payroll?
The city normally does that. City, when an individual is hired here, they hired in at a certain step in a certain range. And based upon when they hired in at a certain step in a certain range, there is a payroll. There is a salary. So based upon whatever step and range to come in, they put at a salary. And based upon that salary, that it accounts for the Social Security, the retirement, the health is a percent of that payroll. And that, but we normally don't budget for the salary. That's all done when they first become employed with the Economic Development Corporation.
How step increases budgeted?
Step increases budget based on performance.
Based on performance?
Yes, sir.
So,
The
so if
city,
you,
go ahead.
let me ask this question. So if I know that the city have step increases and after 2 or 3 years, you get a step increase. So that's not automatic?
No, it's not automatic. It's based on performance.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That answers the question, sir? Okay.
And are there any other increases that, I know that based on the city, the whatever, if it's 2.5 or 2.0, they get that every year. They get the step increases every, I guess, every 2 or 3 years based on how long they've been.
It's about every 2 years or every 18 months. I'm not sure, but they got a stagnant deal. I think what you're alluding to, Ms. Smith, is some year, and it's been pretty frequently, at budget time, the council give what they call a cost of living increase, a 2%, a 3%. That's across the board. Everybody get that.
Okay. Are there any other type of raises given?
That's the only thing I know of.
That's the only two that's given.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay. That's all the question. That's all I have.
All right. Community and Business Center report.
Good evening, board. Just a quick report on the press building. I won't go into much construction tonight. Attached to my report, you all have some updated pictures, but I believe Nathan gave a very detailed status on where we are with construction. Very pleased that we didn't have any substantial delays due to Winter Storm Uri. And as he mentioned, they are working with DataVox on the audio, visual, and cabling right now. And I'm very pleased with how they've been coordinating with John and Nathan to make sure that there are no delays in the schedule. Also included in your packet that I'm really excited about is the request for proposal for the restaurant space. And if you guys haven't had a chance to look over it, I would ask that you all look over it and email me or call me with any questions. So basically what we've done is we're gonna go out for a request for proposals for a triple net lease. As standard in the restaurant industry, we're gonna ask that the restaurateur propose a minimum rent and a gross sales rent to us based upon the square footage, the number of occupants that can be in the cafe, and also the fact that we are purchasing the equipment and will be responsible for the maintenance of that equipment. Excited that Cliff, in purchasing with the city, has found various avenues, different channels to make sure that our proposal gets out to experienced restaurateurs. Although we hope that a local person, comes in really, really strong and we can help grow a Port Arthur business. This is also an opportunity for us to bring the kind of restaurant or cafe that we've always wanted to see downtown in our building. And what I'm suggesting is at a minimum of breakfast and lunch, possibly dinner. what I've learned through this process is those kind of lease terms are typically negotiated once you, the board, have decided that this is the prospect we want to go with. Then we start working out those lease terms. We do want the restaurant to be available for evening catering jobs and things like that, because again, the hope is that, you know, we have conferences and we have meetings and stuff at the building after hours. With that being said, we do have a clause in there for prohibited use to make sure that the space is utilized exactly as it was intended to. Other than that, with regards to our roadmaps program, I've been in touch with my committee, which is Chairman Anderson and Board Member Harris, and we've gone over the implementation and the request for information for several, for the small businesses that we're going to invite to be a part of the program. And they all agreed that it was pretty thorough. We're also going to introduce our program at Motiva's Small Business Initiative on March 11th, I believe at 3 o'clock. Motiva is doing something similar, but they're ready for us to kind of take the lead. But what Motiva has done is they've compiled a list of about 80 small businesses that are only located in the city of Port Arthur. And what they have are several experts from Motiva, like legal or accounting or marketing, that are giving these businesses advice. So what they would like for us to do is, instead of them taking the lead, they would like for us to take the lead, but also make sure that their experts are available to facilitate our needs in the future. So again, that meeting is on March 11th. And the plan is to solicit our prospective businesses and start our program in April. And then have everything solidified by May, and then have our first panel of experts ready for late May, early June. Anyone have any questions?
Any questions? All right. Thank you so very much for your report and hard work.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Baptiste, CEO report.
I think you just heard everybody say what I wanted to say. So I just want to say that I want to thank Jana and Mr. Harris and Mr. Anderson. I think you guys got a concept of where we want to go. I would like to get every one of your board members involved in this thing. Jana talked about, I think you said March, Jana Motiva deal, but we're looking at April or May having a virtual where we could talk to folks and tell these folks what we're trying to do. We're trying to bring a brand new culture, business culture to this community. And I think Jana said it well to me the other day, that building is their building. Is that how you said it, Jana?
Yes, sir.
That building is their building. We want to make sure that they understand that that building is their building. And we have other plans to move them from that building into another building, into being a Fortune 500 company one day. That's all I have.
All right. Thank you for those reports and all the hard work that y'all do every single day. Moving on to our non-consent agenda items, being that we have no unfinished business or consent agenda items. Agenda item number 1, to discuss for possible consideration ratifying the removal of an underground tank located at the West End parking lot of 549 4th Street. Mr. Baptiste.
Yes, sir. I think I came to you guys at last board meeting to make you guys aware that I was going to council. We found another tank under the parking lot on the West End on the Austin Street side. It was full of ink and it was contaminated. We had somebody remove it. I did go before the council because I had to get somebody approval to spend the money. I didn't want to call a special board meeting. The council did ratify removing and disposing of the chemicals. It costs us $7,497.17. So I'm asking you guys to ratify the approval of the council.
Any question?
Make a motion.
Have
I
a motion,
second.
have a second. Been moved by Mr. Smith and second by Ms. Rhonda Connors that we ratify the removal of the underground tank located at 549 4th Street. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Agenda item number 2, to discuss for possible consideration, seeking request for proposals for the restaurant facility at the Press Building, 549 4th Street. Mr. Batty?
Yes, sir. In Janet's report, she talked about, she provided you guys a draft of the proposal that we'd like to put out to solicit a vendor for the private, the restaurant facility. We're asking you guys to give us the okay to move forward with this thing.
Question.
After review by council. Is that all right, Kate?
Yes, that's fine. We're gonna review it just to double check that it's a good project.
Wait, say that again. What's happening now?
We
I
actually
said,
guys.
y'all are gonna approve the RFQ. Guy and I were just looking into it, and I think we kind of discussed this. I know for places in 501 Proctor, we didn't, if anyone wanted to lease it, we didn't specifically go out for RFQs. It's a little bit different. We just want to make sure it's not more of a 4B type project than 4A. So we're just going to look at the RFQ. Just going out for an RFQ doesn't mean you're committed to anything. You're just going out to see if there are any restaurant owners that would be interested and getting their responses. So it's just the first step of the project. So again, you're not committed to anything, but I think Ms. Barnes just wanted to get this in front of you all since she wanted to get the ball rolling on it.
Right, and there is a clause stating that if we don't get anything satisfactory, that we don't have to accept anything, and we can go back to the drawing board and come up with some different terms and try it again.
So can you tell me what are y'all looking for?
Someone to manage and operate a successful restaurant and be able to pay us.
Right. We want them to be able to pay. We want to make sure that they have sufficient restaurant experience so that the venture can be successful from day one.
All right.
But
We would just be leasing them space in the building.
Well, that's
Kinda-
what I thought, but we
Okay.
just lease space.
Correct. We're going to lease the space, but we want to be sure that this tenant can actually run a restaurant, can procure what they need, and that they actually have experience doing it and can cover their costs as well as ours.
There is a lot of money being put into that restaurant, and we want to make sure we don't have a continuous turnover. So we're looking at putting out the RFQ, hoping that we could find the best fit for what we want, that could meet the conditions that we're looking for. That, as Janice said, first thing, could pay us. Second thing, that have had run a business and know how to run a restaurant facility.
Just for clarity's sake, this is not an EDC project, correct? We're just trying to lease this space, that nothing to do with incentive or anything like that? This is just.
No, it's no incentive at all. It's just a lease space, like you lease an office space in this building.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure, because I thought I heard Kate say something about the type of project. So I wanted to just
Well,
clarify.
I think.
Yeah, we are still, it's kind of confusing. So I'm just looking into it a little bit more, but no, it is not an incentive. It's not an incentive applicant or anything like that. It's just someone to come in and lease lease space. They're not even leasing the whole space.
Okay.
Right, but for example, we know we can't lease it at the rate that we lease 501 Proctor, because if we did that, you wouldn't, even if I amortize the kitchen equipment over 10 years, somebody has to be able to pay $1,500 a month. Because remember, we're still owning that equipment and paying for the maintenance. So you're talking about a minimum of $1,500 a month for 10 years, just to cover the initial purchase of that equipment. And then above that, they have to be able to, pay the actual rent. So we've got in contact with some, subject matter experts and thought about how we could get people to propose doing a triple net lease, which is, industry standard. And of course, we know we won't get the $4 or $5 that, some people are getting on just base rent out towards 365. But we want to see what we can get and make sure that it's the best option for us.
And if you look go ahead.
So what is the lease amount that y'all come up with?
We don't have a lease amount. We want to see what they are willing to pay, and then we'll make a decision.
Right. So what I've learned, Mr. Smith, is that in restaurant RFQs or RFPs, whichever you'd like to call it, you typically ask the applicant to propose the lease terms. You ask them to propose the base lease terms, and then once you all decide which is the best prospect, then we negotiate those terms with them. What we're doing is typical industry standard for RFQs in the restaurant business.
So basically that's coming back to the board, then we make a decision.
Correct. So if you look at the timeline, it's scheduled for them to, get the RFQ, ask questions by a certain date. We have 3 or 4 days to do an addendum and respond, and then have them come back. And then once you decide, hey, these are the people that, are the strongest candidate, then it comes, to the board, you all make a decision, and then we negotiate those lease terms, just as somebody would, in any other restaurant space in Port Arthur.
Well, let me ask you a question, Ms. Barnes. You have a fairly set triple net, right?
Yes, sir.
And what we're looking for is the base that adds on with the triple net to come up with their monthly or yearly rent, correct?
Yes, sir.
Because I do that all the time. I mean, we have triple net for everything we do in my shopping center.
Yes.
Because you got all kind of expenses, electrical, water,
Exactly.
lighting, parking lot cleaning, So yeah, I got it. So but you do have a number that you need.
Yes, sir.
To satisfy that triple net.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes,
sir. We have a number.
Gotcha. Okay.
But we're not gonna put that number out right now. We want to see who we get, what we get, what they gonna offer to us.
Right.
Gotcha.
Any other questions?
And all these people will be what Port Arthur people, correct? So it'll be pretty much people from Port Arthur.
Well, it could be from anywhere, from anybody. Our preference would be for Port Arthur business, but our deal is we got a lot of costs involved in this thing, and we want to make we want to, we're not here to make a profit, but we certainly want to break even.
Definitely.
So really, you're not looking for a mom and pop type business.
Well, it could be if they're successful.
As long as they can run it.
And could pay the rent and pay the note.
Yeah, I just was asking that because I kind of was thinking along the lines of there's not someone that can qualify for this, do we reach out, a little bit further for a little bit, maybe a bigger restaurant, something with a little bigger name behind it?
I'm sorry, can y'all hear me? I lost y'all on my laptop. Had to get on my phone. Okay, so yes, so what Cliff and Purchasing, who usually puts out the RFQs for the city, he and I have discussed is not putting it out just locally, but reaching out as far as, Houston and like the Louisiana state line, just trying to see, who we get.
May I say something? There's a young man, and I don't know how y'all guys are doing the RFQs, but there's a young that I know who's been running a restaurant at Lamar, Port Arthur, and he got some of the best French fries I think he ever had. He got a good hamburger for sure. But I certainly would like to see y'all send him that information too.
Why don't you, Mr. Peter, just send Janet the name and we make sure he get a copy of this RFQ.
Correct.
I know he's been out at Lamar, Port Arthur, probably, I don't know, for years. I've seen him out there, but I'll do that. Thank you, sir.
Any other questions? May I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Oh, second it.
Been moved by Mr. Smith and second by Mr. Sharif is that we move forward with seeking the RFQs for the restaurant facility at the Press Building, 549 4th Street. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, on number 3, I would like to remove that one from the agenda. The reason being is I did have a conversation today, this afternoon with THC, with Carolyn, with THC, myself, and Mr. Hauser. As I said to you guys, Mr. Smith and John, I think you guys was on a agenda review, and my goal was try to find out what THC was going to say before we engage Mr. Hauser. I did speak to THC today, and based upon the information that we provide to them, they do not feel it would qualify for historical tax credit. So I like to remove this one from the agenda.
Gotcha.
Okay. All right, so we remove agenda item number 3 for tonight.
They have to make a motion on that, Kate, or what?
No.
Okay. Say we hadn't in the past. All right, so agenda item number 4, to discuss for possible consideration the sale of approximately 4 acres of land to Rustlin Penland in the Spur 93 Business Park. Mr. Baptiste.
Yes, sir. As Crystal stated to you guys, Mr. Penland currently, he purchased about maybe a year ago 1 acre of land. His business have expanded. He wants 4 additional acreage, and we're asking you guys to sell him 4 additional acreage adjacent to his current acreage. Now, my understanding, Crystal, you still there? Crystal,
yes.
Okay. My understanding is that the bank gonna finance 85% of this stuff, and I think that was about a $30,000 debt that he would owe on the 4 acres. Is that right, Crystal?
Correct.
And he would like the board to finance that $30,000.
So what's the cost of per acre?
It's $57,500 per acre, so you're talking about a little over 200,000, about 240,000, 235, between 235 and 240,000. He's going to pay us 200, but he want to finance the 30,000.
Are we going to be able to have a first position lien on the property just to secure our loan since he's getting financing from a bank?
We would have to sit down and talk to him. I don't think we got that far, right, Crystal?
No, we haven't discussed the financing just yet.
But that was in the discussion, that came up, and I just wanted to make you guys aware. We haven't come to a firm agreement with this guy yet. But I certainly heard what you said, Kate.
So what we moving on?
But the sale of 4 additional acreage to Russell Penland.
Right. It would just be, you're just approving me preparing a purchase agreement. It's the standard purchase agreement that we use for every single transaction in the business park, or actually any transaction the EDC enters into to sell property. 57.5 is the number we always use. Y'all have seen it. There's always get 60 and 90, but there's either a 60-day feasibility period or a 90-day for title work, et cetera, to be done. So that's basically what you all are authorizing, is for me to go ahead and prepare the purchase agreement, send it over to him to review. In the meantime, we'll get all of the information regarding financing, et cetera, and we probably would present that to you at your April meeting.
Yeah.
Since usually we don't close, it's very rare that we would close within 30 days, especially with a bank involved. It's going to take 60 to 90 days to most likely close on this.
So we're not agreeing to any kind of financing arrangement?
No, sir.
No, you're just agreeing to
Right.
selling the 4 acres and just having me prepare the purchase agreement and the EDC and the buyer signing it and getting the documents to the title company to start the due diligence. That's all you're approving tonight.
So moved. If you're ready for
But,
it.
I got a quick question, Mr. Baptiste. Number 5 to be discussed, is that the same? That's in the business park that you're talking about increasing the price per acre?
Right.
So that doesn't affect number 4?
My recommendation to this board would be, since this individual currently owned property and just want additional property, that he is grandfathered with the original price that he paid. That's why we have him above the number 5.
Okay.
I have a comment also. I know we're getting ready to go on this, but if we prepare the documentation, I would like to be able to be in a position of first lien.
Yes.
Right. We're always in a first lien position.
No.
So we just need to talk. That probably just hasn't even gotten to that. And the purchase agreement doesn't require specific performance on either party's behalf. So if they can't provide us a first lien, we can still sell them the property. We're just not going to be able to provide any sort of funding towards it. So the purchase agreement is actually totally separate from if we finance anything. It'll be 2 separate documents. The purchase agreement, since this isn't tied to an incentive, won't even reference any sort of the financing. All it is it just gets your 60, I apologize, I know it's either 60 or 90 days clock ticking to move towards the closing. But we will for sure tell him if we finance him the money, we will need to be in a first lien position.
Any other questions about agenda item number 4? Let me have a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Sharif, and second, I believe that's by Mr. Smith, to move forward and sell the 4 acres of land to Russell and Penland in the Spur 93 Business Park. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Agenda item number 5, to discuss with possible consideration increasing the price per acre for the land in the Spur 93 Business Park. Mr. Baptiste.
Yes, sir. it has been about 6.5 years since this board has had an increase in the sale of an acreage of land in the business park. But our costs have gone up. You know, this board has insisted that we maintain the common area. We went out there and we got an excellent landscaper that's maintaining that park. It looks good. It costs us more money. And what I'm asking the board is, currently we sell that property at $57.5 per acre. And for the new board member, Mr. Harris, Ms. Counters, Petrie, you know, you've been around. You know, we provide security, 12-hour security, 5 days a week. And on the weekend, we also provide 24-hour security. We provide these people with access to fiber optics all over that park. We cut the common area, we landscape the front. We keep that park looking pretty good, and it costs us a lot of money. It costs us a lot of money to do that. So what I'm proposing tonight is, it's up to the board. I looked at the cost increase that we have to incur to provide those services. I'm proposing $62,100 per acre, about a 62,100, about a $4,600 increase per acre. We have approximately 80 acres of land left in that park, and that would, you know, put close to another $1 million in our pocket, in addition to what we currently have. So I'm proposing $62,100 per acre, which is about an 8% increase, and that's about 6 years ago. We haven't had no increase.
Well, I personally, my feeling about it is that the value of that park has increased because the tenant base has increased, and the investment into that park by these tenants is really something. So just because it's more advantageous for companies to be located out there, I think that's very reasonable. You definitely want to, because we give a lot of these people the money back anyway if they meet all these requirements. So to us at least meet our expenses, I think that's definitely in line, personally.
I want, that is a very good price. I just had an acre appraised for about $250,000 right here in Port Arthur, 1 acre. So we selling it at 60 something an acre, and it's not in the business park. We giving them a pretty good deal.
I'm right.
I mean, it's a deal. And as he stated, it's the businesses and the quality of business that you have out there. I'm surprised it's going at 60-something thousand square foot an acre. That is way more than reasonable. I mean, like I just sold a piece of, I'm not getting into my personal business, but I just sold an acre, and it was like over $250,000 for 1 acre. And so, and it's nowhere set up like it is over there in the business park, not even close. And all the things that's being provided, it's wow.
It's a deal.
Can y'all sell me about 10 acres? I'm just joking. I'm just, guys.
It made me feel like we selling it too cheap now since you said all that.
Honest.
Well, you know, how many acres you say we got left, Floyd? 80 acres? 80 acres left?
In the phase one, the first part, then we still have 97 in Jade Avenue.
As the land gets more and more occupied, then the price will definitely go up, because it becomes more valuable when you have less, you know. Right now, we have a lot of property.
Yeah.
Still have a lot of property.
Let me ask you, Mr. Baptiste, so there's no, like the people that's already there, they don't contribute anything to the expenses?
Yes, we have an assessment fee that we charge everybody that owns property. We charge them $500 per acre. And to be honest, I even thought about going up on that too. You know, but I said, well, I think I get the biggest bang for the buck by going up on the price, because George will tell you guys, we are getting a lot of phone calls right now.
Okay.
A lot of phone calls.
Next question. Have you ever went up on the expense? Yeah.
Yes, we have.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we did that about 3-4 years ago. We went up on the assessment fee.
Okay. Yeah, because the cost to maintain it can continue to go up. So that's not.
Yes, yes, sir.
Like Mr. Peaches said, I mean, at least 60,000.
But
well, and, you know, all you guys are right, but you know, we have to look at who we are and what our purpose. And we remember when we bring in a business, Mr. Petrie, that's going to invest $12 million in a building, it goes on the city tax roll. And they also may put people to work that produce like a payroll, put on the payroll of another $5 million. So you got a lot you get back from them, you know. And yes, we are cheap, but you know, it balances itself out.
yes.
Good point.
Okay.
So, Mr. Baptiste, with the price going up, acres that we're selling, will it cover that price that's going up with maintaining it? Would that also cover all that with the price going up?
Doing the math, yes, sir. It will certainly help us. It depends on the sale. It depends on the sale, and you know, I would project, you know, that we normally budget for 5 acres of sale per year. I would think that this year next year, the next 18 months, that I think we should probably have 15 to 20 acres sold, because we're getting a lot of phone calls. And I think we all know what's been going on. I think the fourth quarter of this year, our economy going to open up. That's my problem, what I'm thinking, because these other people hear what's going on. In fact, George will tell you, we were on a call this morning, this afternoon, about 4:30, 5 o'clock, with another company that's looking for, what was it, 100 acres, George?
Yeah, he said between 100 and 200 acres.
200 acres of land. And I will tell this board what's happening is industry is telling them, come to Port Arthur. They're telling them, come to Port Arthur. So for them to get pieces of honey, they got to come to Port Arthur. So I see a lot of, and they're calling us, so we know that something's going to happen.
Any other questions about agenda item number 5? May I have a motion, please?
Make a motion.
I second.
Been moved by Mr. Smith and second by Ms. Connors, that we move forward with increasing the price per acre in the Spur 93 Business Park. All in favor?
Excuse me, Kate, should they state the amount?
Did you propose an amount?
Yeah, 62-1.
221. Then yes.
Can you
Are y'all
amend your
comfortable with
motion?
that?
Can you amend your
that
motion to say that?
The motion is to we move forward with the price per acre at $6,201. What you saying? Or how much you saying?
$62,100.
$62,100. I'm just trying to give it away, you know.
Yeah, Mr. Petrie was gonna jump on you for that one.
Yeah, I was finna say, man, I might lose this to Petrie, man. I might have to give me a piece.
So we're gonna move forward with increasing the price to $62,100 per acre in the Spur 93 Business Park. Again, may I have that motion, please, Mr. Smith?
I make that motion that we increase the price per acre to $62,100.
I second that motion.
All right, been moved in second. Moved by Mr. Smith and second by Ms. Connors, that we move forward with the stated price, and all in favor. Opposed. Motion carries. Agenda item number 6, to discuss for possible consideration extending the conditional grant agreement with Arif One.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, what we asking you guys here, Arif One, for the new board members, you guys, right next to Crystal, make sure I'm saying this right, right next to Tijuanita, there's another shopping center. Well, we provided some infrastructure, and one of the things with the infrastructure is 2 or more business. They have opened 1 business, Crystal, right?
Correct.
But there are 3 additional business probably will be open within the next 30 to 60 days. But the time on their agreement is expiring. So what we're asking you guys to extend it no more than 60 days so that they can meet the condition of the agreement, because they're working it, the sign's already up on the buildings. Right. They just haven't gotten the COs. So all we're asking you to do is extend it 60 days so that we wouldn't have to come back to you guys again. Is that right, Crystal?
Yes, correct. They're just weeks out from opening that second business, but just so that they're in compliance, we would like to extend out their contract for 60 days is what they've requested. And the delays are just, you know, due to COVID, with we're seeing that with all contractors all over the area right now. There's a lot of material shortage and things like that. So it just backed them up a little bit longer than they expected. And their agreement actually comes to term next month. So they very well may make it by the end of next month, but just to be on the safe side, we'd like to ask you guys to extend it out 60 days.
All right, any questions? May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Sharifis and second by Mr. Smith, that we extend the conditional grant agreement with the Reef One an additional 60 days. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Baptiste, before y'all go to number 8, what's next? What's going on next to that shopping center? What's going up there?
There, George, you're talking about the one we're talking about right now?
Oh, you talking about where the dirt is, Mr. Smith?
Yeah.
Another shopping center.
Another shopping strip, but they're gonna have more office space for leasing instead of restaurants.
We don't have nothing to do with that one.
No.
Okay.
You good, Mr. Smith?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just got a question. I didn't know what it was.
I have a quick question on that restaurant that's called Walk-In, or what is it? Walk-In?
Walk-ons.
Was that something with the EDC?
Yes.
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 I want to say thank y'all for that one. I went there every night for the past, ever since I found out about it, I went over there and I done ate there about 9 times. As a matter of fact, when this meeting over with, I'm going to eat again. I really, really think that was whoever came up with that one, it was awesome. And
Yeah,
I
I've been there 4 times.
yeah, I love it. The night I found out about it, I've been 9 times and I'm going again tonight. So I love that y'all guys got that one in Port Arthur. That was very good to all of y'all for that.
Well, the bonus on that one, Mr. Petrie, is they're considering doing a catering as their second one. So if you have a particular dish that you like over there, you'll get it in a big quantity now.
Hey, let me tell you, try the Cajun steak with the mashed potatoes. Who Lord.
Hadn't had that.
All right, gentlemen, I'm already hungry now. Y'all messing me up.
Well, they were going to put that in Beaumont, and that woman, the guy's wife, she was from Port Arthur. She said, no, we're putting it in Port Arthur.
Yeah.
And that's how that story went. And so they put it in Port Arthur. And
Yes.
but he did say, when he came to present it to us, he said, I'm going to clean up. And he is going to clean up. That place is packed.
Yes, it is.
And rightfully so.
Oh, yeah. Very good.
I just want to make a correction before you guys move on. The third area where you see the dirt, Mr. Smith, that actually we do have a contract with Mike's Enterprises for that project as well.
What is the name of that project, Chris?
Mike's Enterprises.
We do?
Yes,
That
we do.
came before us?
I'm sorry?
That came before us?
Yes. They haven't.
A while back.
Yeah, it's the latest one that came before us and was just recently, within a couple of months ago, you all approved it and went to council. It hasn't started moving yet because they've just started breaking ground there. But that is an incentive contract that we have as well.
Okay. And that's shopping center? It's
supposed to be a 2-story one as opposed to the other ones. And I spoke with the guy the other day and he said it's going to be, I think, where Mr. Arif is going to have like his business office and they're going to lease the other office space out to people.
Okay.
All right, agenda item number 7. Oh, I'm hungry now. To discuss the possible consideration, closing out the economic incentive agreement with Will Fire HC LLC.
Krista, you want to take that one too?
Yes, we entered into an incentive agreement with Tyco Willflower back in 2012. Their agreement was to stay in operation for a minimum of 7 years, which they have done, and every year have provided us with their tax statements that they have remained in operation and paid. They're a very good company out there in the business park. They've been great to work with, but they have reached the term of their agreement. They have complied with everything, so we're asking you tonight to go ahead and close them out.
Thank you, Crystal. Any questions? May I have a motion, please?
Question. Just me, when they close out, when they've met their agreement and we close them out, what are we responsible for to them once they've met their total agreement?
Nothing.
Nothing?
Yeah, they have met all the obligation of the contract that they have entered into with us. So our contractual relationship is over.
Okay. So when we were talking about the assessment fee, Do they still be charging assessment fee for the expenses that we incur?
Yes.
That's
as long
only
as
in the
they own
business
property.
park.
Business park though.
It's only the business park.
Yeah, as long as they own the property in the park, they still pay the assessment fee to us.
Okay, all right.
You gonna make the motion, Mr. Smith?
Yes, I make a motion.
Need a second.
I'll second it.
Been moved by Mr. Smith and second by Mr. Sharifas that we close our economic incentive agreement with Will Fire HC LLC. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Agenda item number 8. To discuss with possible consideration the approval of the second renewal of the janitorial services contract with Southeast Texas Building Services for 501 Proctor Street. Mr. Batiste.
Yes, sir. Southeast Texas Building Service, this board into a one-year contract with an option to renew for 2 additional one-year terms. The staff, the people in the building are satisfied with the service that they provide us. And we're asking you guys to renew, have a second renewal of their agreement at the cost, at the same cost that we was paying last year.
Questions?
I make a motion that we renew.
I second that motion.
It's been moved by Mr. Smith and second by Ms. Connors that we renew the second renewal of the contract with Southeast Texas Building Services for 501 Proctor Street. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Agenda item number 9. To discuss for possible consideration, approval of invoice payment to Chimera Economics and Analytics. Mr. Batiste.
Yes, sir. Shamir Economic and Analytical. It's a software that we use for demographic information. Normally we just renew it, but I think the cost is a little over $5,000 this year. So anything over 5,000, I have to come back to you this board for approval. I'm asking you guys for the continued use of this software for this office.
So the price increase for this renewal?
Renata, how much is the cost for this thing? Remember?
It is $5,299. I think it went up like maybe inflated like maybe $100.
It went up a little bit.
Like $100.
Oh, okay. Any other questions?
$5,300. Yes.
I make a motion that we renew it at $5,200.
$299.
$5,299.20.
At the $5,299.20.
Get a second.
Second.
All right, it's been moved by Mrs. Smith and second by Mr. Sharifas that we move forward with the approval of the invoice payment to Shamira Economics and Analytics for the amount of $5,299. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, agenda item number 10. To discuss the possible consideration approving the payment for ready dues for this year, for the year 2021. Mr. Baptiste?
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman and board members, those of you who are new, READY is a regional economic development initiative which covers Jefferson, Orange, and Hardin County. We have been a part of that regional economic organization for some time now. And what we're asking to continue to be a part of it at a cost of our donation to it would be $3,000.
Questions?
Question, Mr. Baptiste, that's a donation?
Well, it's the dues. You know, you could contribute as much as you wish. You know, you could contribute $5,000. At one time, we gave them $7,500. When the budget went down, I reduced this thing. So I call it a contribution to READY organization.
Okay.
And what's the amount again?
$3,000.
Any other questions? Entertain a motion.
I make a motion. The approving the payment for $3,000 to READY, for READY dues.
Second. Is there a second?
I'll second.
I second.
All right, go ahead.
It's been moved and second. Moved by Mr. Smith, second by Mr. Sharifas and Ms. Connors, that we approve the payment for READY dues in the amount of $3,000 for fiscal year 2021. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank y'all for those seconds. Agenda item number 11, to discuss for possible consideration returning to in-person monthly board meetings. Mr. Baptiste.
Yes, sir. We have this on the agenda just for discussion purposes. You know, I know it's been some time that this board has convened in the building, and we wanted to see how you guys feel about how soon you want to come back, or do you guys think we're ready to come back? You know, our next board meeting would be April, if not April, May. You know, we just want to know what y'all think.
Well, if nobody's gonna say anything, I will. I've been wanting to come back in person, and I'm 100% for it as soon as we can do it. As soon as everybody else agrees to it, I'm all for it.
Mr. Baptiste, do you mind explaining kind of the plan if we were to decide to come back in person, so that everyone will kind of have an idea of what you're trying to do?
What we currently have, those of you who've been here in the meeting, you know, we normally see in the past, we have set 9 board members, myself and the secretary and the 2 lawyers. So that is 9 and 4 is 13 people. What I would like to do in the interim is move the secretary, move the lawyers to a table outside of the right next to, but away from where the board members sit. And there would only be 7 of you guys with myself sitting at the round table, where we could provide a little more distance between us. You know, that was the plan. You know,
I know some of our clients, they have returned back in-person meetings, and each one has handled it differently. So one of our clients still does not allow the public to come in person. They still provide a conference call number for the public to call in and listen. The Open Meetings Act, the governor suspended the provisions of the Open Meetings Act that required you to allow the public to come in. And that order has been continuously renewed. And so you still are operating under the COVID Open Meetings Act guidelines. So one option is only allow board members and obviously Mr. Batiste, the secretary and attorney into your meetings, and everyone else, which would be the public, would join via telephone conference. Another board that we represent, they limit the public, so they only actually allow 9 members of the public to come in actually into the meeting. It's a first come, first serve basis if you're not one of the first ones in, and they have the chairs just all 6 feet apart. How they came up with the number 9, I think they just based it on how many chairs they could fit in the area 6 feet apart. Again, there's no hard and fast rule on that. And then we have another board that they only allow say Nathan was going to come in and do a presentation, you would allow him in for the presentation, and then once he was done, he would leave. So people can only come in at their agenda items. That gets a little bit, I think, kind of hard, because if your meetings run late, someone's just sitting out in the parking lot in their car for 2 hours. So they would rather just sit at home and wait on a conference call. But there are a plethora of options. And I think all the boards have done a great job. You have temperature checks, and I get with the mask, some of them require you to wear your mask the entire time. Others kind of treat it like a restaurant. Once you get to your spot, you can take your mask off. Also, if someone does come to the podium, if you do allow people into your meeting, they can take the mask off whenever they're doing the presentation. So there's lots of options, and I think there are a lot of good options to make sure the board feels safe, and anybody presenting would feel safe as well. But all of those are legal because everyone's still operating under the suspended Open Meetings Act guidelines.
I know for me, I don't feel comfortable coming back now. And I know that, everybody may not want to wear a mask. So as for me, I don't feel comfortable with coming back right now.
Any other thoughts on that from any other board member?
I know some of our clients, one of our board members, and for another client, he's very high risk. And a lot of the board members wanted to come back in person. He wasn't comfortable with it. So he still calls in. Now, the only kind of caveat with that is if you're going to go in person, you need to have at least a quorum of in-person bodies in the EDC office. But if a board member, but if you have your quorum and say, Mr. Smith, you don't feel comfortable still coming in, you can always join by telephone conference. We do have a board. We actually have 2 boards that accommodate that way.
I feel better that way for me.
Let me ask, if let's say, and you have speakers, are we going to spray Lysol or something on the mic between speakers? Because if somebody talking and another person come right behind them and talking to the mic, and it hadn't been sanitized.
Well, each commissioner has their own mic, commissioner.
Yeah. As far as the podium, what I would do is I would just take the podium out of play because you don't want, if you go back in person, basically that means that if someone comes to your meeting, this is kind of my opinion, if someone comes to your meeting, that means that they feel comfortable being there, they'll wear their mask. But if you're concerned about the podium, just tell them to stay in their spot and speak from their spot, or come to the front of the public area and just eliminate the podium use altogether, because I think it would just be too difficult to sanitize it properly. And also, people might not feel comfortable sanitizing it. So, you know, the EDC, although you have a really nice boardroom area, I do think that you can make sure someone can just talk without the podium. And now Joni, and due to the recording issues, I know the microphones help them on the recording side, but Mr. Petrie, if that's a concern, I would just say the easiest way would just be to eliminate the podium altogether and just tell people to speak loudly. Of course, then you're like, they're spitting, they're yelling at us. Well, they can always keep their mask on, or you can keep your mask on and remain 6 feet apart. And I think I think there are ways we can work that out, but I do understand your concern.
Didn't you also say, Kate, that we can go back in person, but not necessarily have speakers to come? They can still just call in?
Yes. So one of our boards, they only allow board members in the boardroom. Anybody else has to call in. So on your agenda, you still would put, which we'll help you with, but you still, put reference to the order, and you just say public may participate via, and put a conference call number in there. And one of our boards, that is how they have handled it. They do not allow any member of the public there. If someone has a presentation to do, you just do it over the phone. And for that board, it's worked. We haven't had any sort of complaints. So that's another option as well.
See, I would love to come back in person, just because I'm tired of having Zoom meetings. Every meeting we go to now is Zoom. So I would love to come back in person, but if we could limit it to just our board members, if the other board members are comfortable. I do understand and respect, Mr. Smith's position on this. But if everybody is comfortable and we could just limit it to ourselves, that would be something that I would love for us to consider.
Me personally, myself, I agree with you guys. I'm open to coming in. So whenever y'all want to do it, I'll come in.
So we've heard from, I know Mr. Smith apologized. Mr. Christopher Smith, he had to step out of the meeting to handle a personal matter. Is Ms. Connors still on?
Yes, I am.
How do you feel, Ms. Connors?
I don't have a problem coming in. As long as it's just us, like you stated, I don't have a problem with it.
Okay. And Mr. Smith, Mr. Dallas Smith,
I'll just call in because
and you're okay with that? We don't want you to feel, you all right with that?
I'll just call in until I'm ready. I'm not comfortable with coming in now.
Okay, so Mr. Baptiste, with everyone here, everyone's comfortable, with us moving forward with this. So what do we do now to get this ball rolling? What do we need to do?
Well, you guys just direct me what y'all want to do, and if you want to do it next month or the month after, whatever. I have one question for the lawyer, and maybe I misunderstood or misheard her. You said that I still have to have a quorum in person.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
The fourth person cannot be by phone. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, it's not necessarily a rule that the governor put in his order. So if we were really stretched, we could probably have the fourth person call. I don't like it because, as everybody knows, when they're on Zoom, you can easily mute and block yourself and walk to the restroom. And we would not ever know if we really lost a quorum. So it's just more for the public scrutiny. I just don't want them saying the board passed this incentive and there were only 3 members in person. And we have no way to, I'm not accusing anyone. And I mean, I'm guilty too. I'll put it on mute and block myself out and run, to the restroom or go get a snack. I mean, we all do it. But if you were actually in the boardroom and if someone got up and left to go on the phone, you lose your quorum. So you just have to kind of keep that in mind. So that's why I've told boards, if you are going to come back and allow someone to call in, then the people who say that they're comfortable coming in person, we're really relying on you to be there in person, because we need your body there so that we can have our quorum and there's no questions about whether or not we had a quorum at a certain meeting. That's why I just kind of take a very conservative approach on that.
So it is the pleasure of the board, Chairman.
Okay. Now I believe that we do want to come back in person. I would suggest, and I need the board to chime in on this. I would suggest our April meeting be that meeting that we do go back in person, but only with board and essential staff present. No, not open to the public.
Okay.
I agree with it. I'm fine with it. Me myself.
Hey, whatever y'all agree with, I'm just tickled to death to get back.
So that means we order food.
Yes. And also, y'all choose going back in April and say in May or June, it's just not working or cases go up, you're not married to it. You can always jump back to a Zoom meeting. Or if we can't get 4 members, actually bodies there, then you can always do a Zoom meeting. So I just want you to know there's still a lot of flexibility with this. You're not married to it, so that's all I have to say.
Okay.
Right. So we don't need to do any of that formal motions and all
No.
that. We just can direct you, right? Okay. So we're good to go. So hopefully April, when we have our meeting, we'll be in person, and Mr. Baptiste will make sure that we are very welcome.
Ooh, we got to dress up now, huh?
You get a meal too, John.
Can't come in shorts. Can't come in shorts.
All right. Thank y'all for that discussion. Thank you for the input. Agenda item number 12. To discuss for possible consideration a joint retreat for PA EDC and the City of Port Arthur City Council members. Mr. Baptiste?
Yes, sir, Commissioner and Chairman. George and I have been talking, and we have some people that's currently are very new to EDC, and even people like Ms. Connor, I'm going to name you, put your name out there as a new person also, because it takes a while to learn this stuff. Mr. Harris, takes a while to learn this stuff, guys. But we also have people on council who are also new. And we think it is very important that we understand as a board the direction that the council want to go in. Currently there's a lot of things that we do, but and there's a lot of coordination going on between us and the city. But I think we need to have a complete meeting of the mind. You guys hear me say it all the time. Nobody know what we does. There's a lot of people on the council. There's some of the people on the council doesn't understand what we do. And I think it would be good, especially now in the early stage of this new administration across the street, that we come together, talk about where we want to go, and let's try to find some common ground and get there together. It's just an idea George and I have been throwing around, and we said, well, let's talk about this with the board members and see how the board members feel about it.
Now, this retreat would just simply be us sitting down and discussing each view and bringing everybody up to speed on the direction and thought process of both boards and both organizations. Is that what you're talking about, Mr. Batiste?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, also with that, I mentioned before that I would like for us to have a joint meeting at least quarterly. So can this be the kickoff to that type of scenario?
Yeah, it could be. I know in the past, EDC and the council have always had joint workshop, but I think I'm going beyond a workshop. I think first we have to have a clear understanding of where we all want to go. And once we have those clear understanding and define where we want to go, then we work toward where we're trying to get. But we have to come together because we going one way, they going another way. Sometimes we meet up, sometimes we will never meet up. But we serve the same people, we serve the same community, and I think the goal and the objective of both the council that plays a very important role in governing this city and this board that make a tremendous contribution to the quality of life and the economic stability of families in this community need to have a common goal. And I don't think you could meet that common goal or get to it until you begin talking about it together. That's
yeah.
key.
Now, you kind of didn't answer my question, so I'm gonna come back one more time. After we have this initial sit down and discussion, this retreat, and we come on the same page and we know what each other's doing. After that, is it possible for us? I would like for us to have some type of quarterly meeting or something as we move forward, so that we don't find ourselves back in this same predicament that we're in right now. That's what I'm saying. So,
and I agree with you. I agree with you, Chairman. But I think those decisions need to be made between y'all. You got to remember, we are just administrators.
I'm asking you your idea. You're a professional, Mr. Batiste. Come
Sir,
on now.
Sir,
I'm asking you your opinion. You're a professional.
I agree with you. I agree with you. But I think at that retreat, those are some of the things that you will want to put on the table. Look here, let's just not talk today. Let's meet quarterly and see where our alignments are, and see if our alignments are still in the same place. From my point of view, from the position that I have here, I think Port Arthur have a great opportunity. I've been here for a while. I have never seen Port Arthur in a position that it is as it is today. And I think that if this board and this council does not take advantage of it, the door going to close on us. And I'm not saying it's not going to open again, but it's going to be a while before it opens. So we need to take advantage of, at least put our foot between the door and to keep a crack in it. And I think all that is done through communication, understanding. Mr. Petrie, you've been a long life resident. You've been around here. Let's talk, man.
Okay. Yes, sir.
This open discussion.
Any other questions about this? Anybody want to add, chime in?
I got a quick question. I know there's some talk about the EDC being a B, and the discussion about if it, I don't know if it's in the works or what's going on with that, or if it's just talk. But if it's just not talk and they possibly considering this a B, wouldn't that affect this whole board?
but that would be a year from now.
Okay.
Because there's nothing could happen because the election is in May. If the council choose to make a decision to go there, they would have to do it next year. So you got a year to understand where you want to go, and how you want to go there.
Gotcha.
I will
Anyone
agree.
else?
I will agree with the chairman that I think a quality meeting is very important to kind of keep everybody on the same page, and people can see the progression of what's going on. And instead of keeping the people that appointed us in the dark, it's kind of like it gives those guys an opportunity to question us. We give them a like a update on what we're doing. I know we're talking to our prospective councilmen probably anyway, but to have it in a group setting, I totally agree with the chairman on that. I think it's a great idea for us to meet quarterly on something like that, just to keep those guys informed and see what's on their minds too, you know.
I have a question pertaining to the meeting. Would it with the retreat? Would it be something that we would it be like an agenda type setting, like when we have these retreats or these meetings where we kind of have an agenda set out, our agenda, and then they have their agenda, and we kind of meet different agendas and kind of just talk about them collectively? Or would it just be just a gathering and then we just throwing out ideas to one another about what's going on at each other's, EDC and the city council?
I believe, Commissioner, that anytime you have a meeting of two different groups or two, it's best you have an agenda so you stay focused where you're going.
Absolutely.
You know, because we could just ramble all day and come out with nothing.
Exactly.
You know, I agree. We need a agenda, and that agenda can come from both sides.
Exactly. That's why I was saying, like, would it be, if once we find I guess a projected date, we would collectively come up with our personal agenda of what we would want to bring to the table, and vice versa. They would have their agenda that they can bring, and they would just kind of compare and contrast and agree to disagree on certain issues, but with us bringing our own different agendas to the table.
Right. I think we could work out the logistics on some of this stuff. We are currently, Joy, what we saying, I think we looking at, don't quote me, March, April,
I think you said May.
May. We're
Yeah.
looking at May, where after the legislative session ends, where we bringing in State Representative Desertel and Speaker Phelan down here, and bringing our partners, which is Lamar State College, the school district, and we talking about having a job creation strategy citywide. And we're going to bring all these people together, and with industry and people from the hospitality industry and the people from the healthcare industry, and see how we could work together to put authors to work. So it's just the beginning of what we can do, man.
So what's the proposed date for this if we decide to move forward with it?
I apologize, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, Miss. I didn't even know you were talking. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. I was just going to add that the port, I think, would be great. I know those guys are getting ready to spend like $1 billion in deepening and widening the Intercoastal Canal. And there's a lot of great jobs with insurance and pensions. They're a union. I would love to see more opportunities and those guys be at the table. Maybe we can capitalize off of some of those opportunities. That's all I was going to say.
And that's the intent. That's the intent. It takes all of us, I'm from the old school, you know, and they always told me it takes the whole village to raise the kid. It takes all of us to move this city forward.
Yeah. So should we move forward with this retreat? Do you have a proposed date, month that we are going to do this in?
I think, Chairman, I think maybe you and I could talk and we get with the mayor and the city manager and see what date would be good for them. I don't know if they're amenable to this.
Okay.
So I have not had the discussion with them.
Okay. Any other questions?
Again, I think we just have to take advantage advantage of the opportunity that's facing this community. And because it's not going to be like this forever, fellas. It's not going to be like this forever.
Any other questions?
John, I didn't hear you, John.
Okay.
Sir?
No, I didn't.
Question?
I agree with everything y'all are saying. I think what my perspective is that sometimes there's some discussion like we're different than them and we're not doing what they want us to do, or you get some feedback sometime because they don't really know what we do. Sometimes you get this feedback like we're doing something that we shouldn't be doing or something. You know, I correct them every time anybody brings that up to me. I say, you need to be at the meeting and you'll find out what goes on at the EDC. Some people don't understand the magnitude of the stuff that we do that really has an impact on our community. So, you know, by getting together, sometimes maybe you can dispel some of those rumors. Now, we do have people over at the EDC, over at the city council now that have some definite input in the EDC because they were on this board. And so they know what the EDC does. And there's at least two people there now, two new city council people that have intimate knowledge of what our EDC does. So like Floyd said, sometimes those windows of opportunity open to really educate some of the other people that might not quite understand what goes on over here. So I think if nothing else would come of it, it would be an understanding that we're all in this together and we're all working together for this community, and that this EDC board does, and Floyd and his staff do some tremendous work for this community. And I'm just tickled to death to be a part of it. It's an honor for me to be on the board. So I think any kind of, with this new city council, I'm very excited about this new city council. I'll tell you that. I know most all of them really well, and I think that, like Floyd said, if some good things can happen for our city. That's all I can. That's what I'm looking at.
You gonna make a motion?
Oh, sure. I'll move that we definitely explore the possibility of a retreat in whichever form that we can come up with.
Okay, may I have a second?
I'll second it with an amendment that we try to do it minimum of quarterly, if we can.
Okay, so it's been moved by Mr.
I'll change that to quarter. I'll make the motion to add that amendment to it, the quarterly.
Okay, it's been moved by Mr. Sharifas and second by Mr. Petrie that we do move forward with the joint retreat for the PA, EDC, and the City of Port Arthur City Council members. And we want to do this quarterly. We want to do it quarterly. So after the first one, we'll do it every quarter. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Agenda item number 13, to discuss the possible consideration authorizing and adopting a resolution to sell real property located on 4th Street in the city of Port Arthur to Community Development Properties, Port Arthur, Inc. Mr. Baptiste.
Yeah, I'm gonna yield that one to Kate. Kate, you wanna take that one on?
Yes, back in 2018, we actually entered into a purchase agreement with National Development Council. At the time, it was a different entity, but the community partners, it's a NDC created entity to purchase this property. Anyways, in 2018, we were doing due diligence, and then it kind of fell off the tracks. And then, you know, I think everyone fell off the tracks in 2020, but it's come back to us. They're going to purchase it from you all in cash, no financing. And all this resolution does is it just states that you all have authorized the corporation to sell the property to the community partner. It'll have the secretary sign it, and all it's saying is that the meeting, you all authorized the sale. I think the resolution mentioned some closing documents, but actually they're super minimal closing documents. There's a special warranty deed that we will be using to convey the property, and then this resolution, because again, there's no financing. So other than the title commitment that Texas Regional Title has prepared, which both parties are comfortable with, that'll be just about it. Once you all approve this, it'll move towards closing and you'll get your money for selling the property. I believe Mr. Batiste can go into a little more detail on what it's going to be used for, but it will be, I believe, housing and again, to just make Port Arthur better. So that is what the resolution is. You all approved selling this quite a long time ago to them. And again, just due to different circumstances, it's taken us about 2.5 years to get here. But the good news is that they're buying it in cash, and it'll be used for the good and for development.
What's the sale price?
I think it was about 125,000, Kate, 120, 125, something like that at that time. Yes, sir.
Are you going to discuss what the property is going to be used for?
Yeah. Let me just tell, like Mr. Peach and Mr. Harris, I think Ms. Connors was new to this thing. The property we're talking about is property on 4th Street, directly across the street from the county health and the Texas drivers. That property EDC owned. As Kate was saying, we sold that property to the National Development Council to do some development. I think they just, any day they will close. If not this week, they will close on that property. I am being told that probably the middle of this month, they should be turning dirt, and construction probably will start the first part of May. They will have 48 townhomes and 48 townhomes and 70 apartment complex there. So something new coming to Port Arthur, downtown. The other thing, talking with NBC, okay, so most of you guys know that NBC is one of our consultants. We have convinced NBC to enter into a development agreement with Legacy Academy, who's doing our project management for our downtown program. Remember, we are running to kind of some roadblocks where, because we couldn't buy no more land, NDC will provide Legacy with $100,000 to purchase land in that targeted area to continue building. So we hope that the $100,000 will be able to buy us 10 or 12 additional lots, where we would be able to put 10 or 12 additional homes there.
Any questions? May I have a motion, please?
I make a motion.
Second. Need a second.
Need a second?
Come on, guys, anybody can do it.
A second.
By Mr. Smith and second by Ms. Connors, that we move forward with the sale of the real property located at 4th Street in the city of Port Arthur to Community Development Properties, Port Arthur, Inc. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Let me read the statement real quick and then they'll give you the instructions for our executive session. A closed meeting or executive session will be held pursuant to the following sections of the Chapter 551 Texas Government Code. Section 071, Section 072, Section 074, and Section 087. The time is 8:27.